They say a dog can smell fear, guilt, lies. I never believed it. Until the day Kira tried to tell me the woman I trusted was destroying my life. And I didn't listen. Chapter 1. The freezing rain turned the gravel driveway into a river of mud as 3 vehicles crawled toward the isolated white farmhouse, a sheriff's cruiser, an FBI sedan, and a Kentucky State Police SUV whose emergency lights painted the gray November twilight in shades of red and blue. Dimitri Volkov sat at his kitchen table, hands wrapped around cold coffee. At 38, he looked a decade older, the kind of aging that came from chronic pain rather than years. His faded army t-shirt hung loose on his thin frame. Beside him, Kira lifted her head. The German shepherd's ears snapped forward, amber eyes fixed on a hallway where Thessaly craned. His caregiver 3 months had been organizing paperwork. A low growl rumbled from deep in her chest, not playful, but primal. Then headlights swept across the window. When Dimitri opened the door, 5 law enforcement officers stood on his porch. FBI Special Agent Cordelia Vance stepped forward, rain dripping from her windbreaker. "Mr. Volkov, I'm Special Agent Vance, FBI Financial Crimes Division. We have a federal warrant for your arrest." Dimitri's hands gripped his wheelchair. "Arrest? For what?" The Hollow Creek Veterans Memorial Foundation reported $1.2 million missing over 8 months. Your signature on every fraudulent authorization. Your account access. Security footage of your truck at the foundation office during unauthorized visits. The number was so large it became meaningless. Dimitri's monthly disability check was $3,400. That's impossible. I never contacted the foundation. I haven't left my property in 3 weeks. We have wire transfers to offshore accounts. Authorization letters with your signature. Recorded phone calls requesting emergency fund transfers. Behind the vehicles, more headlights appeared. Cars from Hollow Creek, drawn like spectators to an execution. Dimitri. Thessaly emerged from the hallway. Tissue pressed to reddened eyes. At 43, she had the unremarkable appearance that made her forgettable, perfect camouflage for a predator. "Dimitri, please. Just tell them the truth. Tell them where the money is." He stared at the woman who had cooked his meals, managed his medications, driven him to VA appointments. The woman he'd trusted with everything. "Thessaly, what are you talking about?" "I didn't." "Agent Vance." Thessaly turned to the FBI agent, voice breaking. "I've been documenting everything. The personality changes. The paranoia. He's been obsessing over money, saying he deserves more for his service. I have journals. Medication logs showing his mental deterioration." She handed Agent Vance a thick folder. "No. Thessaly, that's not true. You know that's not true." Behind the police vehicles, the crowd grew. Mrs. Patterson, a Gold Star mother, pushed through the rain, face twisted with rage. "You monster. My boy's scholarship fund. How could you?" A news van skidded to a stop. WKHY TV. The camera's red light blinked. Recording. Broadcasting. And then Dimitri noticed something that cut through the chaos. Kira hadn't moved. The German shepherd stood between him and Thessaly, hackles raised, teeth bared. That continuous growl wasn't directed at the FBI or the crowd. It was aimed solely at Thessaly Crane. Kira's amber eyes locked on the caregiver with predatory intensity. In 2 years of partnership, she had never disobeyed a command, never shown aggression without cause. She was warning him. "Mr. Volkov." Agent Vance stepped forward with handcuffs. "You're under arrest for wire fraud and embezzlement. You're facing 20 years in federal prison." As the cold metal closed around Dimitri's wrists, he watched Thessaly step back into the shadows of his hallway, into his home, where she had access to everything, where she'd been organizing for 3 months, where she'd built his prison. Kira lunged against his leg, snarling, sharp, urgent, desperate. As they loaded Dimitri into the FBI sedan, he caught one last glimpse through the rain-streaked window. Thessaly stood on his porch, waving goodbye with a tissue pressed to her eyes. The perfect picture of a devoted caregiver heartbroken by her patient's crimes. Agent Vance's phone buzzed. CNN just picked up the story. By morning, you'll be the most hated veteran in America. Through the window, Dimitri could hear Kira barking in the distance, a sound he'd never heard from her before. Not protective, not aggressive, anguished. She knew. She had always known. And he hadn't listened. Chapter 2. The Cage. The Lexington Federal Detention Center smelled like industrial disinfectant and despair. Dimitri sat on the edge of a steel bunk in the medical wing, staring at cinder block walls painted the color of old bruises. They'd place him in isolation, not for protection, but because the wheelchair made him a liability in general population. Through the reinforced window, he could see the recreation yard where other inmates moved in tight clusters. Word had already spread. The news vans outside the facility had made sure of that. Disabled veteran steals $1.2 million from Veterans Charity. The story was too perfect, too enraging to ignore. A guard had pulled him aside during intake. You're going to want to stay in Medical Volkov. There's 3 Marine vets in C Block who already put a price on your head. Cigarettes and commissary credit. You won't last a day in Gen Pop. Dimitri hadn't responded. What could he say? That he was innocent? That he'd been framed by his caregiver? The evidence was overwhelming. His signature, his accounts, his truck on security footage. Even his own caregiver had testified against him with journals documenting his mental deterioration. The trap was perfect because it was invisible. His court-appointed attorney had visited that afternoon, Marcus Webb, a public defender in his early 30s who looked like he'd been assigned too many hopeless cases. He'd sat across from Dimitri in the consultation room, manila folder open, expression carefully neutral. Mr. Volkov, I'm going to be honest with you. The evidence is devastating. Marcus spread documents across the metal table. Wire transfers totaling $1.2 million over 8 months. Authorization letters with your signature, verified by 3 handwriting experts. Security footage showing your truck at the Foundation office on 12 separate occasions between 11 p.m. and 3 a.m. Phone records showing calls from your cell phone requesting emergency fund transfers. I didn't make those calls. I didn't sign those letters. That's not my truck on the footage. It's registered in your name. Kentucky plates XKY 4782. Your insurance policy. Dimitri's head spun. His truck, his phone, his signature. How is it possible? And then there's Ms. Crane's testimony. Marcus pulled out a thick binder. 3 months of detailed journals documenting personality changes, paranoid statements about deserving more for your service, obsessive behavior regarding finances. She has medication logs showing you stopped taking your prescribed psychiatric medications 2 months before the thefts began. She has recordings, voice memos on her phone. You allegedly discussing what you do with real money and how the government owes you. She claims she was documenting everything because she was concerned about your mental health and wanted to help you get treatment. The room tilted. Thessaly had recorded him, except he'd never said those things. Never discussed money. Never. Mr. Volkov, the prosecution is offering a plea deal. 15 years instead of 20. Full restitution, psychiatric evaluation, cooperation in recovering the remaining funds. It's the best option given. I didn't do this. Dimitri's voice was barely a whisper. Marcus, I swear on everything, I didn't do this. Marcus closed the folder slowly. Then we need to explain how someone else accessed your accounts, forged your signature perfectly, cloned your phone, used your truck, and convinced your own caregiver that you were mentally unstable and planning financial crimes. Do you have any evidence? Any proof? Dimitri thought of Kira, the way she growled at Thessaly, the way she tried to warn him. My dog knew, he said quietly. Kira, she tried to tell me. Marcus's expression didn't change, but Dimitri saw the flicker of pity in his eyes. The look that said, this man is broken. This case is hopeless. 15 miles away, in Dimitri's farmhouse, Deputy Chin sat in the living room, completing his incident report. The house was quiet except for one sound that had continued for 6 hours straight. Kira's howling. The German shepherd sat at the front door, nose pressed against a gap at the bottom, releasing long, mournful howls that echoed through the empty rooms. Deputy Chun had tried everything: food, water, commands, even calling animal control. Nothing worked. "Ma'am, the dog won't stop," he said into his phone, speaking to Agent Vance. "It's been 6 hours. The neighbors are complaining. Should I call animal control?" Before Vance could answer, Thessaly appeared in the doorway, eyes red from crying, a suitcase in her hand. "I can take her," Thessaly said softly. "Kira knows me. She trusts me. It might help calm her down until we figure out what to do with Dimitri's property." Deputy Chin hesitated. "Ms. Crane, you're a witness in an ongoing investigation. I'm not sure." "Deputy, please. That poor animal is suffering. She doesn't understand why Dimitri abandoned her. I've been caring for both of them for 3 months. Let me help." Chin looked at Kira, whose howling had intensified. The sound was heartbreaking, pure anguish. "All right, but you'll need to sign a temporary custody form." As Thessaly approached with a leash, Kira's howling stopped. The sudden silence was more unsettling than the noise. The German shepherd backed away from Thessaly, hackles raised, that same low growl rumbling from her chest. "Kira!" "It's okay," Thessaly said in poorly pronounced Russian, reaching for the dog's collar. "Come with me. We'll find Dimitri together." Kira's lips curled back, revealing teeth. Deputy Chin stepped between them. "Ma'am, maybe this isn't—" "She's just stressed," Thessaly said quickly, her mask of concern never slipping. "The trauma of watching Dimitri arrested. Give me a moment." But Kira didn't give her a moment. The dog lunged backward, breaking free from Chen's grip, and bolted down the hallway toward Dimitri's office. They heard her barking, sharp, urgent, desperate. When they reached the office, Kira stood in front of Dimitri's filing cabinet, pawing at the bottom drawer, barking continuously at the lock metal. "What's in there?" Chen asked. "Just old files," Thessaly said, her voice tight. "Tax documents, medical records, nothing important." But Kira wouldn't stop. She pawed and barked and whined, her entire body focused on that locked drawer with an intensity that made Deputy Chen's instincts flare. "Ms. Crane, I'm going to need you to open that drawer." Thessaly's smile never wavered, but her eyes went cold. "Of course, Deputy. Whatever you need." Chapter 3. Thessaly's hand trembled just slightly as she pulled a key ring from her purse. Deputy Chin noticed. In 8 years of law enforcement, he'd learned to read the micro-expressions that separated innocent witnesses from guilty parties. The way Thessaly's fingers fumbled with the keys. The way her breathing had changed. The way her eyes darted to the filing cabinet and back to him. "I'm not sure which key it is," she said, her voice still carrying that wounded caregiver tone. "Dimitri kept so many locks. The paranoia, he was convinced people were trying to steal from him. Ironic, given—" She trailed off, letting the implication hang in the air. Kira's barking intensified. The German shepherd's claws scraped against a metal drawer, leaving scratch marks in the gray paint. Her amber eyes were wild, desperate, locked on that bottom drawer like it contained the only thing in the world that mattered. "Ms. Crane." Chen's voice carried a new edge. "Open the drawer. Now!" Thessaly's mask slipped for half a second. That same cold, calculating expression Dimitri had glimpsed on the porch. Then the concerned caregiver returned, complete with fresh tears. "Of course. I'm sorry. This is just so overwhelming. Finding out someone you trusted, someone you cared for." She selected a small silver key and inserted it into the lock. "I just hope there's nothing in here that makes this worse for him. He's already facing 20 years. The lock clicked. Thessaly pulled the drawer open slowly, as if dreading what she might find. Inside were hanging file folders, neatly labeled in Dimitri's precise handwriting. Medical records, VA benefits, property taxes, insurance policies. Everything organized, everything ordinary. Kira lunged forward, shoving her snout into the drawer, pawing at the files. Papers scattered across the floor. The dog's entire body vibrated with urgency as she dug deeper, pushing folders aside, searching for something. "Kira, stop!" Thessaly reached for the dog's collar. You're destroying evidence. But Chun held up his hand. Let her work. Something in his gut told him to trust the dog. He'd worked with K-9 units before, drug dogs, cadaver dogs, search and rescue. They didn't behave like this without reason. This wasn't random destruction. This was purpose. Kira's claws caught on something at the very back of the drawer. A manila envelope, taped to the rear panel of the filing cabinet, hidden behind the hanging folders. The dog gripped it in her teeth and backed out of the drawer, dropping the envelope at Chen's feet. The envelope was sealed. Unmarked. No label, no writing. That's nothing, Thessaly said quickly. Probably just more tax documents. Dimitri was obsessive about filing. Chen picked up the envelope. It was thick, heavy. He looked at Thessaly, whose face had gone pale beneath her makeup. Ms. Crane, do you know what's in this envelope? How would I know? I told you, I was just his caregiver. I didn't go through his private files. I respected his privacy, even when he was clearly becoming unstable. Chun tore open the envelope. Inside were photographs, dozens of them, printed on standard copy paper, grainy but clear enough, time-stamped, dated. The first photo showed Thessaly Crane standing outside a bank in Louisville. The timestamp read 3 months before she'd been hired as Dimitri's caregiver. She was talking to a man in a business suit, handing him a folder. The second photo showed the same man entering the Hollow Creek Veterans Memorial Foundation office. The timestamp was 11:47 p.m. One of the nights Dimitri's truck had allegedly been recorded on security footage. The third photo showed Thessaly sitting in a coffee shop with a woman who looked remarkably similar to her. Same height, same build, same hair color. The woman was holding up a Kentucky driver's license. Even in the grainy photo, Chen could see the name, Thessaly Crane. But the photo on the license was of the other woman. Chen's hands went cold. Ms. Crane, who is this? Thessaly's expression had frozen. The concerned caregiver was gone. What remained was something harder, colder. I have no idea. Dimitri must have been stalking me. This proves his paranoia, his mental instability. The timestamps are from before you were hired. Chen flipped through more photos. Thessaly meeting with a man outside a print shop. Thessaly entering a phone store. Thessaly sitting in Dimitri's truck, his actual truck, in a Walmart parking lot, holding what looked like a key. These photos are dated 2 weeks before you applied for the caregiver position. Kira sat at Chen's feet, her body finally still. Her amber eyes remained locked on Thessaly, that low growl rumbling continuously. Chen pulled out more documents from the envelope. Printed emails between Thessaly and someone named M. Voss discussing the veteran target and timeline for extraction. Bank statements showing deposits into an account under the name T. Crane from a shell corporation in Delaware. A handwritten note in Dimitri's shaky script. If you're reading this, I'm either dead or in prison. I don't know what Thessaly is planning, but Kira knows. Trust the dog. She's never wrong. Check the security footage from my office camera, hidden in the smoke detector. Password, Kira 2016, DV. Chen looked up at the smoke detector mounted on the office ceiling. A tiny lens glinted in the overhead light. Deputy. Thessaly's voice had changed completely. The accent was different, flatter, more neutral. The grief was gone. You're making a serious mistake. That envelope is clearly fabricated. Dimitri had months to create false evidence. He knew he was going to be caught. This is a desperate man's attempt to step back from the door, Miss Crane. I'm a witness in a federal investigation. You have no authority to step back from the door. Now! Thessaly's eyes narrowed. For 3 seconds, she calculated her options. Chang could see it happening. The predator deciding whether to run, fight, or continue performance. She chose performance. The tears returned instantly, her body language shifting back to wounded caregiver. Deputy, please. I understand you're confused. Dimitri is very convincing. That's how he stole $1.2 million without anyone suspecting. He's a master manipulator. The FBI has already verified. The FBI verified evidence you provided. Chen pulled out his phone, photographing the contents of the envelope. Evidence you had access to for 3 months while living in this house. Evidence you could have planted, manipulated, or fabricated. That's absurd. I'm a registered caregiver with the Kentucky Board of Nursing. I have references, background checks. Then you won't mind waiting here while I verify those credentials. Chun keyed his radio. Dispatch. This is Chun at the Volkov residence. I need Agent Vance and a forensic team. Possible evidence tampering in an ongoing federal investigation. Also need verification on a Kentucky nursing license for Thessaly Crane, DOB. He looked at her. What's your date of birth, Miss Crane? Thessaly's smile was cold. You're making a career-ending mistake, Deputy. Date of birth, July 14th, 1982. Chun relayed the information. While he waited for dispatch to respond, Kira moved to sit between him and Thessaly, her body tense, ready. The dog's instincts had been right from the beginning. The radio crackled. Chun, we're showing no active nursing license for Thessaly Crane with that DOB. We have a Thessaly Crane, DOB March 3rd, 1979, license suspended in 2019 for fraudulent billing practices. Last known address in Ohio. Chen's hand moved to his service weapon. Ms. Crane, I need you to place your hands where I can see them. Thessaly didn't move. She stood in the doorway of Dimitri's office, her expression unreadable, calculating her next move. And then she ran. Chapter 4. Thessaly bolted down the hallway with surprising speed, her caregiver persona shedding like a snake's skin. Deputy Chen lunged after her, but Kira was faster. The German shepherd launched forward, 80 pounds of trained muscle and protective instinct. She didn't attack, her training held, but she cut off Thessaly's path to the front door, forcing her toward the kitchen. Kira, stop! Thessaly's voice cracked with genuine fear now, all pretense abandoned. Chen rounded the corner as Thessaly grabbed a kitchen knife from the counter. Stay back, both of you. Drop the weapon. Chen's service pistol was drawn, aimed center mass. Drop it now. Thessaly's eyes darted between the deputy and the dog. Kira's growl had become a continuous rumble, her body coiled a spring. The knife trembled in Thessaly's hand. You don't understand, Thessaly said, her voice taking on a new quality, desperate but calculating. I can give you names. Real names. This is bigger than one disabled veteran. There are 12 others. 12 marks across 4 states. I'm just the face. The closer. But I can give you the whole operation. Drop the knife. The blade clattered to the tile floor. Chen kicked it away, holstered his weapon, and pulled out handcuffs. On your knees, hands behind your head. As he secured the cuffs, Thessaly laughed, a sound completely different from the wounded caregiver's voice. Harder, colder. You think you've won? The money's already gone. Offshore accounts in 3 countries. Dimitri Volkov is still going to prison because every piece of evidence points to him. My testimony, the documents, the security footage, it's all admissible, all verified by the FBI. We'll see what the forensic team finds on that hidden camera. Thessaly's smile faltered, just slightly. 90 minutes later, FBI Special Agent Cordelia Vance stood in Dimitri's office, watching the playback on her laptop. The hidden camera footage was damning. Thessaly Crane, or whatever her real name was, sitting at Dimitri's computer at 2:47 a.m., 3 weeks after being hired, typing, clicking, transferring funds. Her face clearly visible in the monitor's glow. Another clip. Thessaly practicing Dimitri's signature on a legal pad, comparing it to documents from his filing cabinet. 12 attempts before she got it perfect. Another, Thessaly on her cell phone, speaking to someone off camera. The veteran's completely isolated. No family, no close friends. Perfect mark. I'll have full access to his accounts by end of month. Another, a man entering the house at 1:15 a.m. while Dimitri slept. The same man from the photographs. He and Thessaly working together, photographing documents, cloning Dimitri's phone, making impressions of his truck keys. Vance's jaw tightened. How long has this footage been here? Based on the file dates, Volkov started recording 2 weeks after Crane was hired. Chin said he suspected something but had no proof, so he documented everything. Why didn't he come forward? Would you have believed him? Chin gestured at the evidence bags containing Thessaly's fabricated journals, medication logs, voice recordings. She built a perfect case. Disabled veteran with PTSD, isolated on psychiatric medications, showing signs of paranoia. Who would believe him over a registered caregiver with documentation? Vance was silent, because Chun was right. She wouldn't have believed him. She hadn't believed him. The dog knew, Chin said quietly. From the beginning, Kira tried to warn him. Vance closed the laptop. Get Volkov released. Immediately, full exoneration. In the Lexington Federal Detention Center, Dimitri sat on his bunk when the cell door buzzed. Volkov, you're being released. All charges dropped. As Dimitri's taxi pulled into his driveway at dawn, he understood. Kira stood on the porch, tail wagging, her entire body vibrating with joy. She'd known all along, and she'd saved him. Chapter 5. The taxi pulled away, leaving Dimitri alone in his driveway at dawn. The farmhouse looked different. Yellow crime scene tape still fluttered from the porch railing, and evidence markers dotted the lawn like strange flowers. But none of that mattered. Kira stood at the top of the porch steps, her entire body trembling with restrained energy. She didn't bark, didn't howl. She simply waited, amber eyes locked on him, as if afraid he might disappear again. Dimitri whispered, "Little girl." The word broke the spell. Kira launched herself down the steps, a blur of black and tan fur. She didn't jump on him. Her training held even now, but she pressed against his wheelchair, her head in his lap, whining and trembling and making sounds he'd never heard from her before. Pure joy mixed with relief, mixed with something that sounded almost like crying. Dimitri's hands buried themselves in her fur, and the tears he'd held back for 3 days finally came. Great, shaking sobs that he couldn't control. Kira pressed closer, licking his face, his hands, her tail wagging so hard her entire back end swayed. "You knew," he said through his tears. "You tried to tell me. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry I didn't listen." Deputy Chin appeared on the porch, holding a folder. He'd stayed to brief Dimitri personally. "Mr. Volkov, I owe you an apology. We all do." Dimitri looked up, one hand still buried in Kira's fur. "You found the camera footage?" "Everything. Thessaly Crane, real name Teresa Kovacs, is part of an organized fraud ring targeting isolated veterans. You're victim number 8. She's been doing this for 4 years. Chun descended the steps, his expression grim. "The FBI is building a federal case. Wire fraud, identity theft, elder abuse, conspiracy. She's looking at 25 years minimum. The money? They've frozen accounts in the Cayman Islands and Switzerland. You'll get most of it back. The foundation will be made whole." Chun handed him the folder. "Your full exoneration. Agent Vance wanted me to tell you that your evidence, the hidden camera, the photographs, broke the case wide open. They've identified 11 other victims and 3 more operatives in the network." Dimitri opened the folder with shaking hands. Official FBI letterhead. Complete exoneration of all charges. Victim of organized criminal enterprise. Commendation for evidence gathering that led to arrests. "There's something else," Chin said quietly. "Kira's behavior. Her aggression toward Kovacs, her persistence in finding that envelope. It's being cited in the case file as evidence of Kovacs' criminal intent. The prosecution is arguing that service dogs are trained to detect threats, and Kira detected one from day one." Dimitri looked down at Kira, who gazed back at him with those intelligent amber eyes. She'd known. When he couldn't see it, when the FBI couldn't see it, when everyone believed Thessaly's perfect performance. Kira had known. "She saved my life," Dimitri said simply. "She saved more than that. Because of her, 11 other veterans won't be targeted. The whole operation is shut down." Chin extended his hand. "I'm sorry we didn't listen sooner." Dimitri shook it. "You listened when it mattered." By noon, the news vans were back. But this time, the story was different. Disabled veteran exonerated. Service dog exposes fraud ring. FBI arrests caregiver in multi-state veteran scam. Hero dog saves owner from prison. Dimitri watched from his living room window as reporters set up on his lawn. His phone had been ringing nonstop. The foundation board apologizing, veterans organizations offering support, even a call from a senator's office. But he ignored all of it. Instead, he sat on the floor with Kira, her head resting on his leg, and simply breathed. "We're okay," he told her. "We're going to be okay." Kira's tail thumped against the hardwood floor. Once, twice, a steady rhythm that said, "I know, I always knew." Outside, Deputy Chung was giving a statement to the press. Through the window, Dimitri heard fragments. Remarkable instincts. Save her owner's life. Testament to the bond between veterans and service animals. Dimitri closed his eyes and held his dog close. The nightmare was over. The cage was open. And the one who'd freed him had 4 legs, amber eyes, and a loyalty that couldn't be bought, faked, or broken. "Good girl," he whispered. "My good girl." Kira licked his hand, and for the first time in 3 days, Dmitri Volkov smiled. Chapter 6. 3 months later, Dimitri stood at the podium of the Kentucky Veterans Memorial Foundation's annual gala. The same ballroom where he'd once been a board member. The same people who'd watched him be led away in handcuffs now gave him a standing ovation. Kira sat at his side in her service vest, calm and alert. She'd been awarded the American Humane Hero Dog Award the week before. The medal hung in Dimitri's office, next to his own military commendations. "I'm not here to talk about what was taken from me," Dimitri said, his voice steady. "I'm here to talk about what couldn't be taken. Loyalty, trust, the bond between a veteran and the partner who never stopped believing." He looked down at Kira. Her amber eyes met his, and her tail gave a single confident thump. Teresa Kovacs and her network targeted veterans because they thought we were vulnerable, isolated, easy marks. His jaw tightened. They were wrong, because we have something they'll never understand. We have each other, and we have partners who see what others miss. The audience erupted in applause. In the front row, Deputy Chin nodded. Beside him, FBI agent Van smiled. The case had become her career-defining moment. 12 victims recovered over $8 million, and the entire fraud network dismantled. Teresa Kovacs was serving 28 years in federal prison. Her accomplices had taken plea deals, testifying against the operation's mastermind, a former insurance adjuster who'd been targeting disabled veterans for 6 years. After the speech, Dimitri wheeled himself to the foundation's memorial wall. New names had been added, veterans who'd passed during the year. But there was also a new plaque. In recognition of Kira, service dog and hero, whose unwavering loyalty exposed a criminal enterprise and saved countless veterans from exploitation. May her courage remind us that the bonds we forge in service never break. "They spelled your name right," Dimitri told Kira, scratching behind her ears. "That's more than the Army ever did for me." Kira's tail wagged. That night, back at the farmhouse, Dimitri sat on the porch in the cooling autumn air. The yellow crime scene tape was long gone, the evidence markers removed. Life had returned to something resembling normal. Except now, reporters called him for interviews, veterans organizations invited him to speak, and 3 other fraud victims had reached out to thank him for exposing the network that had targeted them too. But the best part was the silence. The peaceful, comfortable silence of a man and his dog, watching the sun set over Kentucky hills. Kira rested her head on his lap, her breathing slow and even. "Content. You know what the FBI agent told me?" Dimitri said quietly. "She said if I'd come forward sooner, without evidence, they wouldn't have believed me. They would have thought it was the PTSD talking, the paranoia, the medications." Kira's ear twitched. "But you knew from the very first day. You tried to tell me." He stroked her fur, his voice thick with emotion. "I promise you, I'll never doubt you again. Whatever you sense, whatever you know, I'll listen." Kira lifted her head and licked his hand. Once, twice, a gesture that said, "I know, and I'll always protect you." As darkness fell over the farmhouse, Dimitri understood something profound. The bond between a veteran and their service dog isn't just about training or commands or tasks performed. It's about trust that runs deeper than words. It's about loyalty that can't be faked or broken. It's about a partnership forged in service and tempered by adversity. Teresa Kovacs had tried to destroy him. She'd stolen his money, his reputation, his freedom, but she couldn't touch the one thing that mattered most. She couldn't break the bond between a soldier and his dog, and in the end, that bond had saved them both. If Kira's loyalty moved you, help us share her story. Hit like, share to honor all service dogs, and subscribe for more tales of devotion. Has your dog ever sensed danger before you did? What's the most incredible thing you've seen a service animal do? Drop your story below. It might inspire our next episode.